Yo, you guys, this is Blacklist of the Abyss, and this is my review for Hunter x Hunter episode 103. Now, this review's kind of up late because I was just really busy today. I ate breakfast at around 11 in the morning and didn't get my next meal until 12 hours later, so that should put things in perspective a little bit. But the review's up now, so I'll just get into it. It starts off with the girl from last episode, the one that's in the ending. She's just interacting with Miriam, and she's kind of an idiot, to be honest. I mean, she's just an idiot. Um, Miriam tells her to be quiet and close her mouth. She ends up closing her mouth, and she can't breathe because her nose is running. So she ends up passing out. She's just an idiot. But when she starts to play Gungi, her air just changes completely. Like her aura is just changes, and she becomes a completely different person. So and obviously this is a change that Miriam noticed. But we follow more of them later on. After this, we actually end up going to go on Knuckle and Shoot, and they all meet up, and Rowan is just observing them, and he's not really impressed at all. He's pretty much just insulting both of them. With Shoot, he's saying how he doesn't have any eyebrows, and he doesn't look like he trusts anyone, so he can't trust Shoot. Then Knuckle, he just, like, the look on his face, the fact that he looks like he's from a different decade, he's always angry, stuff like that. He just says he can't trust either of them, and it's not looking too good. Then of course, these animals come right on cue, and Knuckle ends up showing his softer side, and Melioran's kind of just confused by this, but he's just saying that's not enough for me to trust him yet. But I noticed this in the ending, but the more information that gets revealed, the more I notice in the ending. But at the last scene of the ending, like the last 5 seconds or so, maybe more, when they have good guys over here, bad guys over here, and it's just like this still shot, and they're kind of just zooming out. You can see Knuckle like doing this uppercut, and Melioran is just like wrapped around him like this like bear hug kind of piggyback ride position. So from that, it's clear that he ends up trusting Knuckle with the perfect plan and turning him into God's accomplice. But yeah, that's pretty much it for Go Knuckle and Shoot for the rest of the episode. We go back to Miriam and the girl after this. I don't remember if they ever said her name, but for now, I'll just call her the girl. We go back to Miriam and the girl's going easy on him, pretty much. Miriam realizes that his skill isn't high enough for her to like show her true skill. So he decides he wants to practice a little more, and he's just going to keep challenging her over and over and over and over and over until he gets good enough to beat her, or at least make her go all out. But first he tells her to take a break so that he can bring that Go player back in and face him, because he made these excuses saying he was tired and all this stuff, and that's why he lost. But it turns out Montatuyupi, he comes in and tells Miriam that the Go player hanged himself. So yeah, I mean, if I was gonna die, I'd rather have my head cut off by Miriam and have it be an instant, painless death that I don't even feel and don't even see coming, probably, compared to actually hanging myself and having to actually go through the actions of killing myself. But whatever. Either way, he ends up dead. Who cares? He's fodder. After this scene with Miriam and oh, by the way, Montatuyupi, he doesn't seem very important. Like, I mean, obviously he's important because he's one of the Royal Guard. He's one of the strongest Chimera Ants in the series, in the arc. I mean, I don't know if Chimera Ants would be outside of this arc, but he's one of the strongest Chimera Ants of the series. But so he's obviously important, just being a member of the Royal Guard, but he hasn't done anything. Pito she's obviously done enough. Some people say he. I refuse to believe that Pito is a guy. And even if someone shows me proof, I'm still gonna think of Pito as a girl anyway, so that's that. But Pito, she's obviously done enough for us to care about her. Shower Poof has been relevant lately, especially with the whole Cheetu situation and him seemingly having the ability to create Nen abilities. But it's kind of like what's his name, Hanten from Daka Box, but whatever. I'm assuming he has the ability to create Nen abilities, but he's gotten more screen time recently. But Montetuyupi, he's just a random. He doesn't seem to be getting any development at all whatsoever. He doesn't do anything, so I don't really care about him at all. So hopefully before these final fights start, he actually does something to make me care about him. Because right now, I just don't give a crap. But I'm just going off on a tangent now. After this, we actually focus on Morel for a while. He creates all these smoke soldiers, and we learn that his limit is 216, or some number like that. 216, I thought it was. But for the strength that he wants, his maximum is 50. And we learn that as far as those soldiers go, people can't differentiate between them and normal humans if they're just using N. So P2 when P2's like keeping an eye over the entire city and everything with her Nen, and she's going to see the soldiers and not realize that they are just Nen too. She's going to think they're actual humans, and she has these soldiers that she's controlling, defending the capital and everything. They don't do anything, but then Cheetu shows up. Cheetu, he has to go and face Morel because obviously since Miriam is playing Gungi and the Royal Guard aren't going to leave his side, someone has to go out, right? So it's Cheetu, plus he wants to get revenge for what happened last time. But once he shows up, Morel notices that APR has been dispelled, right? So Knuckles' Nen is gone now. So we know that one of the Chimera Ants has the ability to dispel Nen. Now, at first, people think it's Leol. People in the series. Oh, Morel thought it was Cheetu at first, but we knew it wasn't Cheetu. So it was more likely that it was Leol. But then we learned later on, it's not Leol. It's Hirin. Hirin has the ability to dispel Nen. And the way she did it, we didn't actually see how she did it, but we saw what she was like afterwards. It looked like she was pregnant. I guess I would assume she kind of absorbed APR into her body. Then she, I don't know, you have to wait for it to digest or something. I don't know. But I really want to learn more about how she goes about dispelling Nen and how her ability works, because Morel, he's talking about how one of the Chimera Ants has the ability to dispel Nen, and he says that with that ability, any strategy that may have worked against Miriam just is meaningless now. Because any strategy would have relied on Nen. If they can dispel Nen, then obviously that strategy is not going to work. Now, he doesn't know about Perfect Plan and God's Accomplice. But we don't know if Perfect Plan and God's Accomplice are actually going to work. Because like I said, we don't know how Hirin's Nen dispelling ability works. It could be something like the one guy from Greed Island. He actually had to go up and dispel Nen. So if it's something like that, then Perfect Plan is going to work, because he won't even notice them there. But let's say, for instance, I'm just making this up, but let's say, for instance, she has this orb that she can create around herself, and whenever that orb comes into contact with Nen of any kind, it gets dispelled. Kind of like Toma from Index and his Imagine Breaker. But let's say she has, let's just call it that. Let's say she has an Imagine Breaker, pretty much. And she just has this space around her. She can form a space where Nen just doesn't work. If that's the case, then Perfect Plan wouldn't work. It would just be useless. They can just have her stand next to Miriam all the time, and as soon as Knuckle and Meliorone walk towards Miram, they'll be seen. They'll be found out. So nothing's really set in stone yet. We just don't know enough about Hirin's ability to make any conclusions. But it's because not all Nen is just. I mean, I would assume, just seeing what she looked like, how she looked pregnant and everything, you would assume she absorbed it into her body, like I said before. But you can't absorb all types of Nen into your body. Like that one girl from the York-New arc, who the daughter of the rich guy who had the Nen ability where she could like make perfect predictions and stuff like that. You can't. It's not something physical like the smoke soldiers that Morel creates or APR that you can just absorb into your body. So, you know, you can't just absorb all types of Nen into your body. So it can't be something that simple. But you know, Togashi, he's good at creating unique powers like this. I said that last week, and I'll say it again this week, especially with Cheetu's power. But as far as Hirin goes, we just don't know enough information yet to actually make decent conclusions from. So for now, I'll just leave that there and go on to Cheetu. He ends up pulling Morel into this space that's separated from the real world. And pretty much his known ability is tag. And he hits Morel. That's how he brings Morel into the world, into that separate space. And pretty much Morel has 8 hours to touch Cheetu, or to tag Cheetu. And Cheetu doesn't mention what happens if Morel doesn't touch Cheetu tag Cheetu in the next 8 hours. But I would just assume that he'd die. I mean, that just seems like a valid assumption to make. But since Morel just realizes that, you know, if he just sits there running around trying to chase Cheetu, he's never going to get him. So instead, he decides to use the time to think, because Cheetu can't do anything. If he tries to punch Morel or something, that he's making contact with Morel, that would count as a tag. So the Nen ability would be cancelled out right there, and Morel would be outside again. So he can't do anything, he's helpless. So Morel can take as much time as he wants, and he takes advantage of that. He goes and just looks at he tries to figure out information about the situation and everything. He realizes that the space that he's in is about the size of a baseball field. He can stop a Deep Purple if he wants to, his smoke soldiers, but because of the type of space that he's in, he doesn't know if the aura would actually be able to make its way back to him. There might be like some type of barrier or something that keeps the aura from getting back to Morel himself. And unless the aura actually comes back to him, he won't be able to create more Deep Purple soldiers. So he decides that it's too risky to just stop Deep Purple and get his aura back. Because if he got his aura back, or unless he thinks that he'd be able to break out easy. We don't know, because Cheetu says it's impossible. So I mean, who knows? He was right about breaking the hourglass, because Morel tries to break the hourglass and it doesn't work. But people always overestimate. We don't know. We really don't know. But according to Morel, he could break out easily if he had all his aura. But it's too risky, so he decides not to do it. Then, after figuring out that he can't break the hourglass, he just lays down and he says he's going to take a 5-hour nap, and he tells Cheetu to wake him up later when there's 3 hours left. At this point, Cheetu starts to lose his temper, because he's just thinking, you know, I thought this was a great ability where I'd finally be able to take advantage of my speed and just destroy this guy. But Morel, he's got everything figured out. He says, no, this isn't a battle of speed, it's a battle of mental fortitude. And like I said earlier, Cheetu can't do anything, because the moment he comes into contact with Morel, he loses. So Morel he's very smart. I don't think most people would have thought of a strategy like this. But after this point, we leave, and we actually see Flutter. Well, we don't see Flutter, but we see his dragonflies, and his dragonflies discover Nove. He goes and tells Leol about this, and he's thinking, you know, I don't want to give away my Nun ability, and I don't want to reveal it yet. Which his Nun ability is probably something really OP, because look at Meliorone, he's hiding his abilities, and they're OP, so if Leol wants to hide his abilities this badly, it must be because there's some really good ability. But he ends up calling P2, and she sends over a couple soldiers for him so that he doesn't need to use his ability and get found out. This is also around the time we find out that Hirin is dispelling APR. But yeah, I believe P2 was expecting Miram to finish his games soon and want to go out and take care of the enemy himself. But so she wanted Leol to take care of everything before Miram got the chance to. But the way things are going, it's not looking like he's going to be finishing his games anytime soon, because he can't beat that girl. Every time he gets better and better and better, but she just ups her game every single time, and she keeps beating him. So, you know, Miram, he's starting to get frustrated now, because he's never felt so... I won't say he feels inferior to her, but he's always won. He's the best. He's the CM Punk of Hunter x Hunter. He's the best in the world. Every time he tries something, he's #1. He beats... Someone says they're #1, and he beats them. He becomes #1. So this is a first for him, actually, not being able to do something. But that's pretty much how the episode ends. There was some mention about a storm coming. That might... It looks like there's an actual storm coming, so it's not just like a metaphor or something. It probably is a metaphor as well, but it looks like there's an actual storm coming, so I don't know how that'll affect Deep Purple, since it's, you know, made of smoke and everything. All the soldiers are made of smoke, but that's pretty much how the episode ends. Like I mentioned before, in the ending animation, you can see Meliorone holding on to Knuckles, so it's a giveaway that Meliorone does end up trusting him in the end. And in the preview, you can see that Cheetu, he ends up getting caught like around the ankles with Morel's smoke, and we see this scene of him getting angry and just stabbing Morel with his claws, which, like I said before, the moment he makes contact with Morel, it's the same as Morel making contact with him. So that's, you know, an automatic loss on Cheetu's part. So from the preview, we already know that Morel is going to get out of... He's going to win that game of tag, and he's going to get out of that separate space. But next episode looks like it's going to be pretty good. As for this one, I thought it was a great episode, to be honest. I was going to give it an 8.5, but I'll actually give it a 9 instead, mostly because of Hirin's ability to dispel Nen, and how big of a wrench that could throw into everyone's plans. It already threw a wrench into Morel's plans, but now it can mess up Gon and Meliorone as well. But still, we don't know for sure, so there's no real guarantee. But just the thought of this little girl ruining everything, plus seeing Miram with the Goongi girl, that stuff was actually enjoyable as well. The stuff with Morel and Cheetu was enjoyable, of course. It's Morel and Cheetu, you know. But that's it for this review of Hunter x Hunter. I thought this was a great episode, so I'm giving it a 9 out of 10. But that's it for now. Rate, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.